Hey everyone, it's John here from RPO Bay Hockey, back with another video, and this video is going to be the Winnipeg Jets versus the Calgary Flames play-in series preview. I got Paul, a Flames fan, also known as I Don't Give Kachuk, on YouTube, so go check him out. I think for this series, overall, I think we can all agree this one's going to be a close one. I don't think you can say either side here is going to blow the other one out. I mean, it's possible. We know it can happen in the playoffs, but just on the surface, I think these two teams match up well together. Obviously for the Jets, stacked offense. I think the Flames have a pretty decent offense. But the defense for the Jets is a huge question mark. And that's what makes me think that this series is going to be heavily relied on how Hellebuyck can play, if Hellebuyck can continue what he was doing in the season. So I am wearing my Jets jersey, Flames jersey over there. I Don't Give Kachuk's going to be repping his Flames jersey. And then I'm going to go over my Jets side, even though I'm not a Jets fan. But I'm going to give you guys my perspective and just how I could see this series going down. So, of course, if you are a new subscriber, welcome. Please smash that like button and leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And let's get into my chat with Paul. So I'm now joined by Paul, also known as I Don't Give Kachuk on YouTube. Paul, we're looking at the Winnipeg Jets versus Calgary Flames play-in round series. Can you tell me about one Flames player you want to see step up that maybe didn't step up at the start of the season?
Well, for my personal pick, right, this really goes all the way back to even last year as well, because Flames playoff run last year was a headache. It was ridiculous. Like, we didn't show up. And one player specifically people were kind of like knacking on was Johnny Gaudreau. He did not do very well in that Avalanche series. And again, the team as a whole really didn't do very well. But a player I'm really looking for to really step up is Johnny Gaudreau. And specifically, I'm not just saying that because he's like one of the biggest stars. I'm saying it in a way because you look at really who showed up that series and who's been consistent all year long. Matthew Tkachuk, Elias Lindholm, and you could say Rasmus Anderson, David Rittich as well. But compared to this season to last season, Johnny Gaudreau was not really that consistent, the 99-point guy we saw the year prior. He's kind of been up and down, and in the playoffs, you kind of want your guys to be well prepared. And, Gaudreau and Monahan, it's bad enough their playoff performance wasn't very well last year. Now there's a lot of uncertainty this year. Can they keep up the pace they did last year? So it's really a lot up in the air. I'd love to see Gaudreau bounce back because he was a player that got me into hockey and the Flames in the first place. I'd love to see Gaudreau take that next step in the playoffs. I really think when you look at these teams, they're very evenly matched. I believe that the Flames offense could really match up against the Jets offense. That's just my opinion. But it really all depends if we show up. I'm so hoping the Flames can come out, be a consistent team. I think that's what's really going to take. I'm not really worried about the Jets defense as I am the offense because, you got guys like Scheifele and Wheeler and Line. There's a lot of big names on that offense that can be huge presences for Winnipeg that Calgary's going to have to look out for. I do like the acquisitions of Eric Gustafsson and Derek Forbort. I'll pick an X factor for both teams. I'll do the Jets and I'll do the Flames because I feel like these are two important pieces. For the Flames, I actually have two players who I consider my X factors, and those are going to be Derek Ryan and Andrew Mangiapane. Those are two people you're going to be like, well, why are they your X factors? Well, you look, last season, one of our best centermen was Derek Ryan, face-off percentage-wise. And, when it's time to win that key face-off, you want that guy out there who can win those draws. I feel like Derek Ryan will be one of those guys that you just go out there and he's going to be consistent every single night. And one of my personal favorites, Andrew Mangiapane, I mean, man, he has a little bit of a clutch factor that you just love to watch. Those guys you don't expect to do much that come up huge. We saw in the Washington run, Devontae Smith-Pelly. No one would have expected that. So you look at guys who you don't really expect to be your big X factors, especially in a series like the Winnipeg Jets, where you got to have some guys really step up. When you're facing a guy like Hellebuyck, I think Mangiapane and Derek Ryan will be two really key players for the Flames moving into that series. Now for the Jets, I'm going to pick a couple players. I'm going to pick their entire defense because there was questions all this season. Can the Jets defense hold up against some of these teams? And you're facing against Calgary. They have a pretty okay offense. And this is coming from a Flames fan. They have a pretty okay offense. Yeah. So the Jets defense, we're going to have to step up, kind of make a name for himself, kind of prove everybody like, hey, we're here. We can make some noise too. It's not just the offense and the goaltending that really makes up the team. So when you look at the Jets' perspective, I think their defense is going to have to step up. And if they do, that's going to be an even bigger problem for the Flames. I think coming into the series, the Flames may underestimate the Winnipeg Jets' defensive core, try to pull off some things that they normally wouldn't do. So that kind of worries me in that aspect. So those are my big X factors headed into the series.
Great point. So now I guess just looking at everything, Paul, what do you think is going to happen in the series? What's your series prediction for this Flames-Jets matchup?
Looking at this series going into the end, it's going to be close. No one said this was going to be a blowout either other way. You look at the polls, and a lot of people are going, well, I'm going to vote the Jets because they think they can upset the Flames. They think the Flames can upset the Jets. There's a lot of back and forth. No one really knows who's going to win this series. And I think that's really what's going to make it entertaining in the long run. I have the Calgary Flames in 5. You know, I do have trust in the Flames that they can outwork the Jets and beat Hellebuck. It's going to be hard. There may be a couple overtime games. Well, I think it's going to be a close series, really back and forth. I do think the Jets may take a 2-1 series, and the Flames will have to win the last 2 to really catch up. But I have this going 5 games. It's going to be really close, but the Flames in 5 is my prediction.
So I actually made a video already why I think the Winnipeg Jets could win the Stanley Cup. They're maybe somewhat of a dark horse. I think that offense could carry them places. I think Hellebuck could carry them places. I think the Flames as well could be a dark horse here. For the Winnipeg Jets, a few things I want to talk about and just how they can win the series. And if you look at Patrick Laine, he's a guy that should step up in these playoffs. I talked about it in the video I made, but Laine needs to step up in these playoffs. We kind of saw, I would say, streaks of it on their run to the Western Conference Final against the Vegas Golden Knights. I think for a guy like Kyle Connor, a guy like Nikolai Ehlers, if they continue on that trek, we've seen huge playoff performances from Mark Scheifele and Blake Wheeler. That defense will need huge performances from Josh Morrissey, Dylan DeMello, and I think for a guy like Pionk, who was actually very underrated this season, if he can provide, I would say, secondary help from that second pair, and then just Hellebuck in general. I think Hellebuck needs to step up. Hellebuck needs to continue with what he was doing in the season, and I think the Jets have a legitimate chance in the series and past that. For the Calgary Flames, I just want to continue off the conversation with Paul and just say, yeah, I think the obvious points is the trio of Gaudreau, Monahan, and Lindholm need to step up. Those 3 guys, we need to see more from Backlund. But as Paul mentioned, Mangiapane, Derek Ryan, Sam Bennett. I want to see if I can see some stuff from Sam Bennett. These are the guys that hopefully can step up. Those underrated, under-the-radar kind of guys that, you know what, could be that Devontae Smith-Pelly, could be that Lars Eller, could be that guy that scores that random goal. So that's kind of where my mindset's here. I think for the Calgary Flames, their defense is set. I like their defense. They have depth. They have options. So I like the Flames' defense. The Jets' defense is a question mark. Flames goaltending, one of them got to step up. I think if you're looking at David Rittich, he's probably the guy. But Cam Talbot had a decent year. So Talbot, Rittich, I think you go Rittich, but we'll see what happens. So we're going to go through the lineup. So thank you so much for the support. I really do appreciate it on the channel. Give the channel a chance if you're not yet subscribed. I hope to see you going forward. But let's get into the lineups and let me know what content you want to see going forward. This is my analysis quickly for the Flames lineup. So Lindholm's up here. This top line, I think you got to keep the same. Monahan, Gaudreau, Lindholm. They were gaining steam again, I would say, towards the end. Gee, CD with another dono. Thank you, CD. Guys, let's get CD hype in the chat. AZ, it's 9 o'clock right now, my time, 9:09. So I think you got to keep that Gaudreau, Monahan, Lindholm lineup. It just makes too much sense. That second line, like, man, I just feel like you're talking about the Italian stallion over here with Backlund and Tkachuk. I don't know. Again, I think what Flames fans have talked about is maybe getting a better second-line center. Backlund is good, but the thing is, Backlund slowed down in terms of offense. So having like a 1-2-3 punch with a better second-line center. Other than that, the only thing I'm concerned about the Flames is like their I mean, again, you can consider this their secondary scoring, but it's just outside of like the top 6. Who do they really have? And that's why I'm saying like a guy like Sam Bennett's really got to step up in the playoffs. 100%. So Bennett, Dubé, I think those 2 guys got to step up. Derek Ryan for me is really underrated. I mean, he gets paid for what he does, but Lucic. I think Lucic could be a guy that you value in the playoffs. Again, we can all agree Lucic is a bum at this point. Respect to Lucic, but he's not going to put up anywhere even close to like half a point per game, right? So it's just not it. Jankowski has not really been good. Reeder's underrated. I have Zarnik. So the thing is, and it's really interesting because teams might be able to go up to 28. So for the Calgary Flames, I mean, we'll go down here. They're going to have a lot of defense. So I only see them carrying potentially 3 extra forwards. So if it's Zach Ronaldo and Austin Zarnik, we'll scroll down here. Like, it really depends out of these guys. Like, they might just go Quinn or like Byron Freese. So like, let's just bring, because Quinn's played NHL games. So that's like your forward groups. So right there, that's already 15, right? And look at all their defense. I mean, I can't really look at any of these defense and say these are, like, Michael Stone's their worst defenseman, and I mean, at the end of the day, he's better than Martin Marincin. So, like, okay, this is the thing. I think you put Giordano and Brody together, even though Rasmus Andersson finished the season with Giordano, I think that's the way to go, because if Hannafin's coming back from injury, I feel like Rasmus Andersson will play better with Hannafin rather than Brody. Like, Brody plays his best when he's with Giordano. So that's your top four, and I think Hamonic will benefit from playing, like, more of a low-key role and just do his thing with Eric Gustafsson, who's an offensive guy. Then you can have either Giordano and Gustafsson on the power play, or Gustafsson and Hannafin, or Gustafsson. Like, the thing is, they were running Gustafsson on their top power play towards the end of the year. So that'll be interesting. And then, like I said, the goaltending, Riddick and Talbot. Going over the Jets lineup here, I mean, if you're talking about the top line and what was working, I mean, we saw Wheeler playing up the middle at some points this season. I think if you're looking at stacking up that top line, which the Jets have done in the past, and this is the lineup we saw. Like, last year, they were trying at some points, obviously, Line A with this duo, Scheifele and Wheeler, but I think when you look at what's worked, Kyle Connor, he's put up some crazy numbers with Scheifele, so I think that's your top three to start. And that's a scary top line to face against the Flames. I think, obviously, there's an obvious hole at the middle. We're going to see who's going to step up. You've got Brian Little. Again, I don't know if it's confirmed or not, if Brian Little's going to... I don't know. I mean, if someone wants to give me information about that in the chat, he's been hurt, right? So... Cody Eakin could step up in that role. I think Adam Lowry's fine in that third line spot. I think that's a good third line overall. I mean, Roslovic is a little inexperienced, but Roslovic has looked good from what I've seen. Kopp is a very underrated player. And then Matthew Perreault. I mean, Matthew Perreault is going to be an interesting one. I mean, he has that experience. Nick Shore picked up from the Leafs on waivers. Mason Appleton, he's okay. I mean, the thing is, again, you got Letestu, you got Brian Little, you got some experience that could step up. So, if I'm looking at the Jets, we've talked about their top nine. I like it obviously a lot. The only concern for me is that second line center spot. And I mean, I feel like that's been their one spot of weakness for a while. I mean, they acquired Paul Stastny, not last year, the year before. So, yeah, I mean, we'll look at that. And then we'll just look at the defense. Put Morrissey up here. DeMello here. Pionk, Kulikov, Beaulieu. Yeah, that's probably what it's going to look like. Sami Niku. Yeah, I could maybe see Spiza in there, but Niku's been okay. So that's probably your top six, something along those lines. If I'm looking at anything else, like, I think Hanola is going to start, and that's an interesting one, but I think Hanola will start with the roster.